USA. The United States Armed Forces currently have over 1.4 million active military personnel, making it the third largest in the world, with troops stationed all around the globe. In terms of funding, the United States has the world's largest military budget, totaling $693 billion US. In terms of land power, the US Army has almost 8,000 Abrams main battle tanks, almost 30,000 armored fighting vehicles, about 900 self-propelled artillery systems, and over 1,000 multi-launch rocket systems. In terms of air power, the US Armed Forces have around 14,000 aircraft, including over 2,850 combat planes and over 5,700 helicopters. The principal fighter jets of the US Armed Forces are stealth fighters F-22 and F-35 Lightning II, F-15, F-18, and F-60. Finally, the US Navy possesses 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, 9 helicopter carriers, 69 destroyers, 22 cruisers, 19 corvettes or literal combat ships, and 70 or more nuclear-powered submarines. Russia. The Russian armed forces are the world's fourth largest, with over 900,000 active military troops. Russia is also the second largest exporter of armaments after the United States, spending over $60.4 billion on its military. The Russian armed forces have around 13,500 main combat tanks, the majority of which are in reserve. They have Soviet-era tanks, over 35,000 armored fighting vehicles, primarily in reserve, over 5,500 self-propelled artillery, and over 360 multi-launch rocket systems. The Russian armed forces presently have over 4,200 aircraft, including 1,100 plus fighter jets and over 1,400 helicopters. Russia's major fighter jets include stealth Su-57, Su-35, Su-30, Su-27, and MiG-29. Finally, their naval force today consists of approximately 400 Navy ships, 1 aircraft carrier, 5 cruisers, 11 destroyers, 10 frigates, 78 corvettes, and 60 submarines. China. The Chinese People's Liberation Army, or PLA, currently boasts the world's largest military, with over 2 million active military troops. The Chinese People's Liberation Army has the world's second highest defense budget at $178 billion US. Their ground force consists of around 7,000 main battle tanks, over 4,800 armored fighting vehicles, 1,700 self-propelled artillery pieces, and 1,770 multi-launch rocket systems. In terms of Air Force, the PLA has over 4,500 aircraft in total, including over 1,670 fighter planes and over 1,000 helicopters. The PLA's major fighter jets include the stealth fighter J-20, Su-30 MKK, Su-27, Su-35, and J-10. Their naval might has over 700 ships in total, including Auxiliary Z. The Chinese naval fleet now consists of 2 aircraft carriers, 33 destroyers, 42 corvettes, 52 frigates, and 75 submarines. The Indian Armed Forces currently have over 1.45 million active military members, making it the world's second largest. The Indian Armed Forces have a military budget of roughly $67 billion US, making it the 4th highest in the world. Over 4,800 tanks, 2,900 armored fighting vehicles, 200 self-propelled artillery, and 260 multi-launch rocket systems are part of the Indian Army's arsenal. There are around 2,100 aircraft in the Indian Armed Forces, including 570 fighter jets and over 700 helicopters. Su-30 MKI, Disa Rafael Mirage 2000, HAL Tejas, and MiG-29 naval power are India's major fighter jets at the moment. Over 300 ships are currently in service with the Indian Navy. Its naval fleet now consists of one aircraft carrier and another that will be put to sea soon. They have 11 destroyers, 23 corvettes, 14 frigates, and 20 submarines. France. The French armed forces have over 300,000 active military personnel and the fifth largest defense expenditure in the world, at $63.8 billion. Currently, the French armed forces have 406 main battle tanks, over 3,200 armored fighting vehicles, 120 plus self-propelled artillery, and 10 plus multi-launch rocket systems. In terms of air power, the French armed forces now have over 1,250 aircraft, of which 190 are multi-role fighter planes and over 560 are helicopters. The Dassault Mirage 2000 is France's primary fighter jet at the present. In terms of naval strength, the French Navy now operates roughly 180 ships and is the only major naval force in the world that employs a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, aside from the United States. Its current naval fleet consists of one nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, 3 helicopters, 10 destroyers, 11 frigates, and 10 nuclear-powered submarines. Japan. The Japanese Self-Defense Forces currently have around 240,700 active military personnel and a defense budget of over $47 billion. Over 1,000 main battle tanks, 840 armored fighting vehicles, 210 self-propelled artillery, and 99 multi-launch rocket systems make up Japan's ground self-defense force. When it comes to air power, the Japanese Self-Defense Force now has about 1,550 aircraft, including 370 fighter jets and 640 helicopters. Currently, the F-15 Eagle, F-35 Lightning II, and F-2 are the most common modern Japanese fighters. The Japanese Navy now has roughly 155 ships and is one of the world's most powerful navies. 4 helicopter carriers, 26 destroyers, 10 frigates, 6 corvettes, and 20 submarines make up Japan's naval fleet. United Kingdom. Currently, the United Kingdom spends roughly $50 billion on its military. The British Army has 227 Challenger main battle tanks, 2,300 armored fighting vehicles, 89 self-propelled artillery, and 35 multi-launch rocket systems. The United Kingdom's armed forces now have over 900 aircraft, including 160 multi-role fighter jets and 270 helicopters. Most main fighter jets of the UK Armed Forces naval strength are the Eurofighter Typhoons and F-35 Lightning II. Around 80 ships are currently operational with the Royal Navy, and they now have 2 aircraft carriers, 6 destroyers, 13 frigates, and 10 nuclear-powered submarines in their fleet. South Korea. The Republic of Korea's armed forces have about 590,000 active military members and spend nearly $43 billion on military land power. Currently, the Army of South Korea has over 2,300 main battle tanks, about 2,800 armored fighting vehicles, roughly 3,000 self-propelled artillery, and over 220 multi-launch rocket systems. When it comes to the Republic of Korea Armed Forces Air Force, they possess over 1,600 total aircraft, with more than 430 fighter jets and over 750 helicopters. The major current fighter jets of South Korea's naval strength are the F-15 Strike Eagle, F-16 Stealth, and F-35 Lightning II. The South Korean Navy currently has roughly 150 ships in service. It presently has 1 helicopter carrier and 1 carrier in its naval fleet. They have 12 destroyers, 13 frigates, 13 corvettes, and 17 submarines in the force. Italy. Italy spends roughly $28 billion to fund its armed forces, which includes over 170,000 active military troops. The inventory of the Italian armed forces includes 200 main battle tanks, over 2,600 armored fighting vehicles, 54 self-propelled artillery, and 21 multi-launch rocket systems. When it comes to the Air Force of the Italian Armed Forces, they have around 830 aircraft, including 110 plus fighter jets, 400 plus helicopters, Bureau fighter Typhoons, and F-35 Lightning. The Italian Navy now has over 180 ships in total. It currently has 2 light aircraft carriers, 4 destroyers, 12 frigates, 2 corvettes, and 8 submarines in its naval fleet. Turkey. The Turkish Armed Forces currently have about 350,000 active military personnel and spend around $19 billion on their military. Turkey's armed forces now have roughly 2,500 main battle tanks, over 7,000 armored fighting vehicles, over 1,100 self-propelled artillery, and 300 plus multi-launch rocket systems. Around 1,050 aircraft are currently maintained by the Turkish Armed Forces, with around 240 fighter jets and over 500 helicopters. The F-16 is currently the Turkish Armed Forces' only major fighter plane. Reportedly, the Turkish Navy has roughly 190 ships in service. It now has 16 frigates, 10 corvettes, and 12 submarines in its naval fleet. There are presently no destroyers or aircraft carriers in the Turkish Navy. And there we have it! I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the world's most amazing and powerful countries in terms of military strength and forces. We'll definitely show you more of this in the future, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!